Wargaming Tactics 101. What I'm looking to push up to the Wargaming Tactics playlist here is some generalized wargaming tactics, independent of any specific system, although I do reference some systems for illustrative purposes. The idea is wherever you are right now in your system or your wargaming journey, to help identify these key points and you to take them, improve them, use them, make them yours. So ideally, cut down that learning curve, compress that learning curve, and for your next game, win. So the idea with pushing these up is there's been scenarios and opportunities over the various years that I've been playing different wargaming systems that have come up again and again and again. And you learn them, right? You got to get in there, roll some dice, blow up some units, move some stuff around, and have some fun. So these things, you will learn them and you'll come to those conclusions. I'm just putting a time frame out there. Let's say it takes you 8 months to understand siphoning units. Well, if we could talk about it in this vlog and we can illustrate it in the command center, then maybe you can cut down that learning curve and use it in your next game. And instead of 8 months, do it in 2 weeks or 1 week. Really deliver on that momentum. Kind of like get you to the point you can go into your first tournament ever. And place first, second, or third place. That's the goal with this Series 101. So siphoning units, this is a terminology that I've applied in my wargaming notes and that I look for, kind of an internal marker. You're going to call it what you want. So we're going to look at BattleTech for a moment because I'm going to use this to illustrate the idea of a siphoning unit and how it works. We have the hex map out. BattleTech is a hex map game. Terrain pieces on it, cities, things like that. But things move in hexes. You've got your deployment zone where you're deploying your forces on your side of the table. I've got my deployment zone on my side of the table. And then the center of the hex map table, let's call that midfield. Kind of standard Wargaming 101 stuff. A siphoning unit is where you take a unit or a bunch of units, obviously depends on the game and how big or small it is. It has extremely long range. Perfect example, artillery. In BattleTech, a long tom artillery unit or thumpers or some sort of artillery piece that, it can essentially hit anywhere on the table. I take that unit, and if it's a hex map, I put it over in the right or left corner. Obviously, if there's some terrain to give me cover or obscure things, because it's artillery, I'm going to go with that. But the idea is it's nowhere near any of my other units. It's all the way in the back to the left or the right corner. For the most part in BattleTech, you can't enter or exit the hex map. That's kind of that snapshot of the battlefield. So what this means, and Syphon unit has to be really long range. So that means every turn I'm going to be lobbing artillery at you. My long tom is just going to be shooting artillery. Well, the rest of my army, my lance, my battle force, my mechs, my tanks, my infantry, they're going to be pushing up out of my deployment zone to the center to kind of dominate and move out for mission dynamics. Now you've got a choice. You could eat artillery every turn. You're not. You're going to send something to destroy that artillery unit. It may be successful. It may not be successful. I may be able to stop it. I may not be able to stop it. I'm going to try and stop it, but that really doesn't matter for the sake of siphoning units for this Tactica. The artillery piece in the corner with the long range that's able to hit you every turn, that is a siphoning unit because you have to siphon off, you have to pull off a couple of pieces, units, models, whatever that's going to be, elements of your army, of your battle force, and send it to destroy that piece of artillery. It's all the way in the corner. Depending on the movement of the unit, the game takes you, 2, 3, 4 turns to get there? So you're going to pull off a part of your army, which is not attacking the main thrust of my army, moving to midfield, not moving to mission objectives, and you're going to pull that piece off, send it to the artillery. I'm going to try and stop you, blah, blah, blah. Maybe you blow up my artillery. You've won. You're there. Well, I've siphoned those off. You've blown up my artillery. Now you got to spend 2 or 3 turns getting back into the middle of the game. I've siphoned off whatever points are used of those elements that you paid for in your army list. I've siphoned them off. The other option is you just ignore it and let me rain artillery for the entire game. Or you duel it. In this case, it's not a Syphon unit. It negates it, right? There's a negation for everything in Wargaming. Now what happens is you have your own artillery piece, and we're doing an artillery duel. So this idea of understanding and using siphoning units in whatever Wargaming system, we were just looking at BattleTech, but this applies completely in every single system, looking for that opportunity, cutting down your learning curve.